Daniel 3:20. And he commanded the most mighty men that were in the army to bind Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and to cast them into the burning fiery furnace. 21. Then these men were bound in their coats, their horses, and their hats, and their other garments, and were cast into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. Therefore, because of the king's commandment was urgent, and the furnace exceedingly hot, the flame of the fire slew those men that took up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Because the commandment of the king was what? Urgent. We have been talking about Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego in this place. But they were men that did something beyond what Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego did. We never spoke about these soldiers. Because the king's commandment was what? Urgent. It was urgent. So they have to bound Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego and threw them in the burning furnace. Then Nebuchadnezzar the king was astonished and rose up in haste and spake and said unto them, to his counselors, did we not cast 3 men bound into the midst of the fire? They answered and said unto the king, true, O king. We'll be talking about Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego. But before we talk about them, let's talk about those who bound them. What is lacking in this generation? They were asked to bound Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego and throw them into the burning furnace. And the Bible said because the king's commandment was what? Urgent. The order of the king was urgent. Why? He was angry. So the men that were supposed to bind them and throw them into the fire, they themselves did not even take time to get dressed well. Because the king's order was urgent. So they bind them, throw them into the burning fiery furnace, and they themselves got burnt. They knew that where they were entering, they would be burnt. Yet they were on their way there. Because you are not so stupid that you will enter. If you are coming close to heat, no one will inform you that this is heat. They didn't stop and say, hey, it is hot. They proceeded until they themselves got burnt, and some of them died. Yet they must execute the king's order. They must. They have no option than to make sure that the king's order is executed. So they died trying to enforce the law of the king, the order of the king. They died in the midst of it, just to make sure that whatever the king asked them to do, they have done it. They died in the midst of it. We always talk about Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, but we forget about these men. But these men occupy an important place in scripture, who define loyalty, who define loyalty to their core. That no matter what happens, whatever the king says must happen. Whether we must die protecting the word of the king. As for the order and the word of the king, we must die trying to protect it. We have to. If it is in our generation, they will tell you 77 reasons why it is not advisable to do that. There were issues somewhere. One king did something and some people came and was condemning. I said, thank God we are in a modern world. Even when a king make a mistake, it is considered the right thing. They said that any wrong English Queen Elizabeth speaks becomes good English. They add it to dictionary because she's the queen of England, the English-speaking country. She's the queen. So if Elizabeth said, instead of he now said, he is now she and she is now he. Dictionary must edit it. Loyalty. Kingdoms prospered those days because of loyalty. I spoke to you and I told you how Constantinople was taken an Arab soldier, now taken. It was a Roman capital city, but an Arab soldier got an insider who was a orangus, a betrayer. When he was going, his colleagues warned him and said, this town is protected by God, is protected by wars, is protected by intelligent soldiers, armies who have fought wars long before you were born. And he said he's not fighting them with strength. He said, I will fight them from the inside. He said, I have a fifth column. There is a man inside I will fight them with. They got to the gates and the gates opened by themselves. He told them they should follow his leading. Not knowing he has already got an insider who has promised to open the gates when he get there. The insider was a Christian. He opened the gates to another tradition, another religion. They entered and took the city. That's now Turkey, an Arabian country. One man betrayer has taken a whole country from Catholics. That was the capital of Roman Empire at that time. One man, he don't know the consequences of what he has done. Just by opening the gate, the country How many of you don't buy things from Turkey? There's no country in the world that don't benefit from Turkey. And it's not because of their intelligence. At that time, Constantinople was already a business country. The whole world was eating from Constantinople. That's why there was no single month people don't try taking over Constantinople. Because those days, civilization happens by strength, not by knowledge. So if you are stronger than the other city and they are prospering, you just have to come and fight them out and take over. Their animals, their markets, everything belongs to you, and you take over. That was what happened. An insider said, I will use the fifth column. I think Bishop Dak even wrote it in his book. The fifth column. One man can open a door to a house, and that will be the end of that house. One door. Not just a physical door, it can be a spiritual door. Some of you will be prophesying and will begin to say, many years ago, long before you were born, there was a man in your house by name this. And they will say, my grandfather. You were not born, but you are suffering the effect of it. You are suffering the consequences. There was a man who opened a spiritual door. And when the door was open, look, when a door is open, and look, it's easy for people to access your room. Look, there are some people, when they enter and you say it's time, go home, they won't go. They say, I'm not going nowhere. The same thing to demons. When you give demon access to your life and you now say it's time, they say, we are not going. Out, I'm not going. You see them here. We've been casting them. I won't go. Why won't you go? They have enjoyed the venom. I was just reading the Bible this evening and I saw it, and it struck me. Why will people die? Because of an order of a king.